The emotions of Dirk Nowitzki.
Nowitzki off that back play.
Dirk Nowitzki.
At 47, Dirk Nowitzki carries something most fans never see. Not the rings, not the trophies, not the retirement ceremony with tears and standing ovations. He carries the weight of a man who gave everything and quietly paid for it with his body, his peace of mind, and a distance from the team he loved that no one fully explained until recently. People remember Dirk as a legend. One franchise, 21 seasons, the MVP who finally got his ring in 2011 and made the whole world believe in loyalty. That story is real, but there is another story living underneath it, and it is far more painful than the highlight reels suggest. He never had a traditional path. From the very beginning, Dirk's world was built around one man and one relationship that most people in sports would have called reckless. In 1995, a teenage Dirk Nowitzki was playing in a small German youth league when he crossed paths with a man named Holger Geschwindner. Holger was not a typical coach. He called his training system the Institute of Applied Nonsense. He used physics equations and biomechanical ideas that other coaches dismissed. He worked with Dirk alone, away from the standard programs, building the shooting form that would eventually become one of the most studied moves in basketball history. But Holger was more than a trainer. He became a father figure, an intellectual guide, a business manager. He helped Dirk secure a $90 million contract extension with Dallas in 2002. He arranged endorsement deals. And through all of this, he never took a direct commission. Their entire arrangement ran on trust. No formal structure, no paperwork trail, just two people who believed in each other completely. That trust worked beautifully on the court. Off the court, it created a vulnerability that came crashing down in the summer of 2005. German tax authorities launched an investigation into Holger's finances. Investigators looked at the commission-free setup and became suspicious. How could someone manage millions in NBA earnings without a standard billing structure? They raided the Nowitzki family home. They placed Holger into investigative custody for 5 weeks, right as Germany was preparing for Eurobasket 2005. Dirk was left alone. No trainer, no mentor, no father figure. He trained in isolation for 6 weeks. His sister Silke had to stand in as his rebounder during solo shooting sessions. The legal team later admitted that Holger's accounting was in catastrophic condition. Basic receipts were missing. Travel records were practically non-existent. Holger was eventually convicted of tax evasion and fined 5 million euros. But the specific accusations tied to Dirk's personal earnings were proven unfounded. Dirk never wavered. He stayed loyal and he kept training. And he never publicly turned his back on the man who built him. That loyalty is what makes Dirk's story so emotional. And it is also what makes it so painful. If you respect athletes who stay loyal, even when things get messy, subscribe to this channel right now. And comment below whether you think Dirk's loyalty helped him more or hurt him more, because that question follows him through every chapter of this story. He kept his loyalty in the face of public humiliation, too. In the mid-2000s, European players were regularly dismissed in American sports media as mentally soft. The criticism had a sharp edge to it, often targeting players who came from outside the United States and suggesting they were not tough enough to win when it truly mattered. Dirk became a target. After the Mavericks gave up a 2-0 lead in the 2006 NBA Finals, the criticism grew louder. Then, in 2007, Dallas won 67 games, the most in franchise history. Dirk was named the NBA's most valuable player. It was the highest individual honor in the sport. Before the trophy could even be presented, the 8th-seeded Golden State Warriors eliminated Dallas in the first round. 6 games, gone. The coach on the other bench was Don Nelson, a former Dallas coach who knew Dirk's tendencies as well as anyone alive. Nelson used that knowledge to slow Dirk down in a way that felt deeply personal. The MVP presentation did not happen on a court with fans cheering. It happened in a sterile press conference room. Dirk stood at a podium and gave an apologetic speech while national media questioned whether he could ever win under real pressure. It was one of the most uncomfortable public moments any MVP winner has ever had to endure. Holger stepped in. He took Dirk to Australia, far from the noise and the opinions and the cameras. They went to Sydney. They attended performances of Beethoven at the Sydney Opera House. They traveled into the outback and studied Aboriginal culture, a civilization that had survived for 30,000 years without any of the artificial pressures Dirk was drowning in. Holger kept telling him that basketball is a team sport, that one player cannot carry everything, that Dirk's worth was not determined by a playoff series. That reset worked. 4 years later, in 2011, Dirk Nowitzki won the NBA championship, Finals MVP, the moment everyone had been waiting for. The loyalty, the pain, the patience, and the perseverance all came together in one run that the basketball world still talks about today. But even that triumph could not protect him from what came next. For 2 decades, Dirk was the face of the Dallas Mavericks. He was the moral anchor of the organization, the clean image, the one who stayed. In February 2018, a Sports Illustrated investigation exposed a toxic workplace environment inside the Mavericks' corporate offices that shattered everything Dirk thought he knew about the franchise he called home. The investigation described years of predatory behavior and institutional protection for powerful men. Former team president and CEO Turdima Ussery was accused of systematic sexual harassment spanning 2 decades. Team reporter Earl Snead had remained with the organization despite domestic assault accusations. A former department head admitted that there was a built-in protection for powerful men inside the organization, leaving women feeling unsafe and undervalued. The playing staff existed entirely separate from this corporate rot. Dirk had no idea. When he read the story, he was devastated. He said it was tough, very disappointing, heartbreaking. He said he was disgusted and shocked. Mark Cuban moved quickly afterward, firing HR Director Buddy Pittman, terminating Snead, establishing a support hotline, and hiring outside investigators to overhaul the organization. But none of that erased the damage for Dirk. The franchise he had given his name to, his youth, and his career had a hidden world inside it that clashed with everything he stood for. That is not a public failure. That is a personal one, the kind that leaves a mark. And then there is the physical cost. 21 seasons, 7 feet tall. Basketball is not gentle to that kind of frame over that many years. Dirk battled chronic knee and ankle problems in his final years. He kept playing because the team needed him, and because the fans wanted one last look, and because Dirk Nowitzki does not leave until he is certain he has given everything. His final home game in 2019 was celebrated across the basketball world. Standing ovations, tears, legends in the building paying tribute. It looked like a perfect ending. But Dirk later said in an interview that he wishes he had retired 2 years earlier, around 2017. He said if he had stopped then, he might move better today. He said he cannot play soccer with his children now. He said he keeps wondering whether those last 2 years were really worth it. That is not a small regret. That is a father sitting on the sideline, watching his kids play a game he cannot join, paying the price for loyalty and longevity long after the cameras stopped rolling. Even after retirement, the distance from the Mavericks grew. Fans assumed it had something to do with Luka Doncic and the changing of the franchise's identity. Dirk addressed that directly. He said the distance started years before Luka arrived. The real issue was simpler and sadder. The Mavericks never gave him a clear role in their front office. No executive path, no advisory structure, no real seat at the table. Rather than take a hollow, ceremonial position that only used his name for marketing, Dirk walked away. The franchise he built into something beloved did not build anything for him in return. At 47, the tragedy of Dirk Nowitzki is not that he lost. He won. He won in every way a basketball player can win. The tragedy is that the same qualities that made him a legend left him carrying costs that fans rarely see and rarely talk about. The loyalty that made him beloved also left him with legal chaos, public humiliation, physical damage, and a quiet separation from the team he gave everything to. He never complained loudly. He never pointed fingers. He stayed loyal through all of it. And that might be the most heartbreaking part of the whole story. If Dirk's story proves anything, it is that loyalty can be beautiful, but it can also cost more than fans ever see. Subscribe for more stories like this one, and comment below what you think Dirk deserved after giving Dallas 21 years of his life.